Are you suffering from 100% disk usage in Windows 10? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you 10 tips on how you can resolve that problem. Stay tuned. If you're like millions of other people, you've probably upgraded to Windows 10 recently, and if so, you're probably suffering from high disk usage. I'm going to give you today 10 tips that I use on a daily basis to try to resolve this issue. I'm not sure why Microsoft won't resolve it themselves, but hopefully some of these tips will help you resolve it on your system. So let's get on with the tips. One issue that can cause Windows to have 100% disk usage is if Windows is trying to resolve issues on your hard drive. Now there's a couple of ways that we can run check disk. I'm going to show you two right now. The first one is to open File Explorer, go to the hard drive, your main hard drive, it's going to be C, right click and hit Properties. Then from Properties click on the Tools tab and then push the check button right here. And then this will scan the drive. Now this isn't the way I'm going to do it right now, but this is one way you can do it. An alternative way you can do it is click the Start menu, type in CMD. You'll see command prompt show up here. You're going to right click and hit Run as Administrator. Hit Yes. Now from here you're going to type CHKDSK switch R C drive. What this is going to do is it's going to force a dismount of your main hard drive and scan the disk. Now it can't do it while Windows is running, so it's going to have to restart to do it. So when you hit enter, it's going to tell you that the next time, it's going to ask you if you want to do this the next time the system restarts. You hit yes, and you hit enter. And then at this point, you restart your computer and let the scan go. And unfortunately, I won't be able to film that, so we will move on to the next point. Another cause for high disk usage in Windows 10 is the Windows swap file. We can reset that to solve this problem. To do that, we click on the Start menu, type in Control Panel, open your Control Panel, and click on System and Security. From System and Security, you're going to hit System, and then we're going to take note right here of how much memory we have. And this computer has 8 gigs. So we're going to click on the Advanced link right here on the side. Then on the Advanced tab, under Performance, we're going to click on Settings. In the Settings menu, we click on Advanced, and then go down here to Virtual Memory. And we're going to push the Change button. Now from here, we want to uncheck Automatically Manage Page File, and we want to make the page file 1.5 times the amount of memory we have. So since we have 8 gigs in the system, our swap file should be 12 gigs. So we're going to click on Custom Size. We're going to put 12 gigs, and then we're going to hit Set, and then we're going to hit the OK button, and you're going to have to restart your computer for these changes to take effect. So we're going to hit OK again, OK again, and now I would hit Restart Later because there's one more thing we're going to do real quick. So close this, open up your File Explorer. You're going to want to go to this PC, C drive, Windows, and you're going to want to go down to the temp folder here and delete everything in this folder. Okay, you're not going to be able to delete every file, but you should be able to get most of them. And at this point, we're going to restart Windows and move on to the next tip. Another issue that can cause high disk usage in Windows 10 is the Windows Search service. Now, to disable this service, I'll show you right now, but be cautious with this one because if you ever plan on using Windows File History, you'll need to have Windows Search enabled. To disable it, you click on Start, type in Services, open the Services snap-in. This might take a minute to open, especially if you're suffering from high disk usage. Alright, once this opens, you want to scroll down until you find Windows Search. It's going to be all alphabetical. So find Windows Search, open it, and then on the startup type, select disabled and then push stop. Hit apply, then OK. Now, one thing I should note on this is that Microsoft has a tendency to re-enable these services when they run Windows Update runs. So there's a chance that if you run Windows Update, a lot of the stuff that we're doing right now will just get turned back on. So you may have to go through these steps again in the future if you have problems later. So now let's move on to the next tip. Another thing that could be causing high disk usage in Windows 10 is the Superfetch service. Now, the Superfetch service, basically the idea is Windows is going to try to guess what programs you're going to want to run, so it opens those up in the background before you actually click the program to make it seem like they're opening faster. Unfortunately, this takes a lot of resources from your computer, and you may not be wanting to open those programs in the first place, so I always recommend disabling Superfetch. Now, depending on which build of Windows you're running, it's going to have different names. So click on the Start button, type Services, open the Services snap-in, and now from here you're going to want to scroll down and first look for Superfetch. If you have an older build of Windows, it'll be named Superfetch. So it's all going to be alphabetical. And there we go. So we open this up, we change the startup type to disabled, we push stop, hit apply, and OK. Now, if you have a newer build of Windows 10, this is actually called sysmain. Microsoft changed the name of it. I'm not sure which build of Windows they did that. So if you don't see the Superfetch service, look for sysmain, and it's basically the same thing, just a different name. Now let's move on to the next tip. Another thing that could be taking up hard drive resources in Windows 10 is Windows telemetry, their diagnostic system that does nothing but spy on you anyway, so we can turn that off. So the way we do that is click on the Start button, type in Services. From the Services snap-in, you're going to want to scroll down to right here, Connected User Experience and Telemetry. We're going to open that up. We're going to change the startup type to disabled. We're going to push the stop button and hit apply, and that's it. Now let's move on to the next tip. Another thing that can help with Windows 10's 100% disk usage is switching your computer to a high-performance power plan. To do that, you click on the Start button, type in Control Panel, click on System and Security, and go down to Power Options. Now from Power Options, you should have several options here. Right now I only have Balanced, but you should have a high performance plan here, and if you don't have it, here's how you can create it. Hit Create on a Plan, click on High Performance, name it whatever you want. I'm just going to name mine High Performance. Click on Next, click on Create, and there you go. Let's move on to the next step. Another issue that can be causing disk usage on Windows 10 is actually Google Chrome. And what we can do is disable Google Chrome's Prefetch service, and that might help your problem. So what you do is you open up Chrome, you click on the three dots on the top right corner, and click on Settings. From the Settings menu, you want to scroll down to Privacy and Security, and then you want to click the More tab. Scroll down until you see preload pages for faster browsing and searching. You want to uncheck that, and that's it. Let's move on to the next tip. Another thing that can cause 100% disk usage in Windows 10 is if you're using an older build of Windows 10. So let me show you how you can update to the latest build. First thing you want to do is go to Google, and you want to search for Windows 10 Media Creation Tool. And then from there, we're going to go to Microsoft's website, and we're going to scroll down to right here, Create Windows 10 Installation Media. So we're going to download that. And once that's downloaded, we're going to run this file right here. Now this is going to take a minute and it's going to ask you several questions, but ultimately you just want to upgrade Windows now. So you want to answer the questions accordingly, and once you're done you should be on the latest build of Windows 10. So now we're going to move on to the next step. Another common issue that can lead to 100% disk usage is a problem with the IDE controller called the Resolve PCI Express firmware bug. In this bug, we're going to have to actually change some settings in the registry. So let's get started on this one. So what we need to do is right-click on the Start menu and click Device Manager. From the Device Manager, you want to find the IDE controller right here. You open that up, click on the driver tab and click on driver details. Now if you have the store AHAI system, then you actually suffer from this bug. So what we do is go to the details tab, click on device instant path, and what we want to do is copy this number right here. And we're going to open up Notepad real quick, and then with Notepad we're going to paste the device instant path that we just got from the device manager. Now from there we're going to set that aside, and we're going to open up regedit. So just click the Start menu, type regedit, and open your registry editor. And we're going to want to go to local machine, then system. Then we're going to want to click on current control set. Then we want to click on enum, and then we want to click on PCI. Now all these are device instant paths right here for all the hardware on your computer. So what we want to do is we want to match up the one that we copied in Notepad right here earlier with the ones on the list right here. Now this is kind of tedious because they're all really similar. So what you want to do is scroll through and you want to go back and forth until you find one that matches. So I think that's it there. Just verify it. And yeah, we click on this one here. Now follow the rest of the path here and go into device parameters, and then we want interrupt management right here. And now we want to click on message signaled interrupt properties right here, and right here we see MSI supported as number 1. So this is turned on saying that MSI is supported. So what we want to do is change this to 0. So double click on it, change this setting to 0, hit OK, and that's it. Now we close all of our windows here. We don't need to save this because we're done with it, and close all these and restart the computer, and that should solve the problem. And now we will move on to the next step. Another thing that can be causing disk usage in Windows 10 is an incompatible ATA controller. Chances are you've upgraded from Windows 7 to Windows 10 and you still have the ATA controller that was for Windows 7, and it could be having compatibility issues with Windows 10. So let me show you how you can check that. What we're going to do is go down to the Start menu, we're going to right click and hit Device Manager. From Device Manager we want to look for ATA controllers. So once it populates here, okay, we're going to scroll down the list looking for ATA controllers, and I don't see any. So this gives us a hint of what's going on. So we're going to go down to storage controllers, and here we go. Right now our serial ATA controller is actually configured as a RAID controller, and it's using Intel drivers, which are probably Windows 7 drivers. So this is likely our problem. So what we're going to have to do is go into the BIOS and change this to a standard ATA controller. However, when we do that, Windows 10 isn't going to boot anymore. So there's a trick that we can do here, and follow these steps. You click on Start, then click on Settings, and then click on Update and Security. And then what you're going to want to do is click on Recovery right here, and then the Advanced Startup. So we're going to click Restart Now, and it's going to put us into the Advanced Startup menu. Just going to take a second here. Okay, from here we're going to click on Troubleshoot and then Advanced Options. And then we want to go into Startup Settings. And now here's the important part. Here's where the trick comes in. When we hit restart, it's going to restart and give us a menu so we can get into safe mode. However, we want to get into the BIOS before we go into that menu, and we want to change our controller to a standard ATA controller prior to allowing the computer to boot into safe mode, if that makes sense. Okay, let me show you how to do it. So what we do is we're going to hit restart, and then from there we're going to click whatever key is necessary to get our computer into the BIOS. Alright, now from here what we're going to do is in the BIOS we want to go down to, this is in the Dell BIOS. In your BIOS it may be different, but you're going to want to find something like system configuration. So we're going to go into there and we're going to go to SATA operation, and right here you can see where it says RAID on. We're going to switch this to AHCA. We're going to hit yes. It's just warning us that Windows may not boot. So then we're going to hit apply and then exit. And now at this point we want to boot into safe mode. So we hit exit. And it's just going to take a second to boot now, and we should get the menu, the startup menu that we had configured before. And here we go. So enable safe mode is number 4, so we're going to push number 4, and we're going to let Windows boot into safe mode. Now what's happening right now is, since Windows is booting into safe mode, it's going to load the minimum amount of resources or drivers that are necessary. And because we changed the ATA driver prior to booting into safe mode, it will actually detect the new controller and then install it as it's booting. It won't do this in regular mode. So once it boots into safe mode, we literally don't have to do anything. Once it boots into safe mode, all we have to do is restart the computer into normal mode and it should work fine. So it just should take just a few more seconds here for it to boot. And here we go. And like I said before, literally all we have to do is boot into safe mode. As soon as it gives us control of the computer, we can just restart the computer. And we're going to do that here shortly. Alright, now that we're in safe mode, we're going to click on the start menu here. We're going to click the power button, and then we're going to hit restart. And now the computer is going to restart into regular mode, and it should have the new drivers installed. Hopefully. Shouldn't take too much longer now. When you're a computer technician, you spend a lot of time waiting for Windows to reboot. A lot of time. The majority of your time, in fact. You're either waiting on it rebooting or doing a lot of other random things. But it's a lot of waiting. Alright, I think we're almost there. Alright, now that we're in Windows, what we want to do is we want to verify that the ATA controller has changed. So what we're going to do is right click on the start button. And we're going to click on Device Manager. And then we should have a new section in here called right here, IDE ATA ADAPI controllers. We're going to click on that, and right here we have standard serial ATA AHCI controller. So that's what we're looking for. So if you didn't have to go through all that on your computer, you may have had this menu already, but this driver may have said like AMD AMD SATA controller or Intel SATA controller, or it may be a device-specific controller. If that's the case, that still may be your problem. And the way you would fix that is you just double-click on the controller, and then you go into driver right here, and then you want to click on update driver. And then from update, you want to browse your computer for driver software. And then right here, you're going to want to click let me pick from a list of available drivers on my computer. And then from there, what will happen is, see, I only have the standard SATA AHCI controller here, and this is actually the one you want. In your case, if you had a device-specific controller, they'll both be listed right here. And what you'll do is you'll just select that one, you'll hit next, and it'll install that driver, and you hit close, and then restart your computer. And then once you restart, it should put you on the new controller, and hopefully that'll solve your 100% disk issue. Other than that, that's about it for this tip. So let's move on to the end. And there you go. There's 10 tips that'll help you solve the Windows 10 disk usage problem. If none of those worked for you, there's a few other things you can try. You can try checking your antivirus. Make sure that you have a slimmed down small antivirus. Some of the antivirus suites look really good on paper, but they actually take a lot of resources from your computer. So I recommend something like Windows Defender. It should work fine for you. Another thing you can try is Skype is actually known to cause 100% disk usage in some cases also. I would check Google out for that one. Sorry I didn't cover it in this video. Another thing you can try is try not running Steam all the time. If you have Steam installed on your computer, it can run in the background and install game updates and updates to itself while you're using the computer for other things. So what I would recommend is only running Steam when you're actually wanting to play a game. Another thing that you can do is disable Flash. Why is anyone even using Flash anymore? You know, Flash is outdated and it's going away soon anyway. So I recommend turning it off in Chrome, and if you have it installed for Internet Explorer, just uninstall it. You don't need it. Flash is going away soon anyway. Finally, if none of these things work and you're still suffering from 100% disk usage, sometimes your only choice is just to upgrade to an SSD. You know, an SSD doesn't actually solve the problem, but it does stop the 100% disk usage simply from brute force. You know, the SSD is so fast that you don't notice the disk usage because it's fast. So anyway, hopefully these tips helped you. And if you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can be notified of future videos. Thanks again. One thing I would recommend when filming YouTube videos is to kill all the flies before you hit the record button. How many times did I fly in front of my face while I'm trying to record? You know how annoying that is? It drives me crazy. And of course, as soon as you're holding a fly swatter in your hand, they're nowhere to be found. It's like they know. They do. They know.